In this video, we're gonna go over dialogue, on-the-nose dialogue, why it's bad, and how to avoid it. Make sure you stay to the end to get the most important point of all of this that I guarantee will instantly make you a better filmmaker and screenwriter. If you're here to find out how to write a screenplay, how to write a treatment, what is a log line, what is a tagline, let me know. So, you are on YouTube right now trying to figure out how to be a better screenwriter, how to write better dialogue, exposition, and format your screenplay. Well, you're in the right place. My name is Kevin Parkinson. I'm a professor, a filmmaker, and your friend. And right now, we're gonna be jumping into a very often overlooked topic when it comes on to screenwriting, and that is your nose. Not your nose, not your nose, but on the nose. And what I mean by that is when something is just way too obvious in your writing, it never usually translates very well onto the screen. So you might be thinking to yourself, what does this have to do with formatting? What does this have to do with story? What does this have to do with pacing? And overall, what does this have to do with a good screenplay? All of those things. Because a good movie, a good advertisement, a good commercial, a good music video, good video production always starts with dialogue. And if it's way too on the nose, people aren't really gonna get it. On the nose dialogue is simply exposition or dialogue that makes it so it's way too obvious what a character is doing or thinking. It's not subtle enough. And tragically, this is usually the element that leads to a screenplay being corny. Corny! Corny! Nobody likes corny unless it's intentional. To better explain this, let's jump to a visual example. This is an obscure but classic high school production in which two young men are having a dialogue about how to treat women. Let's check it out.
Bye. Come on, girls, let's go.
Yo, that thing is fat. Yo, I'm trying to hit that.
Trying to hit one of them. Seriously?
Come on, man. You know what I mean. You know, I'm trying to get some of that.
They're women, not objects. What are you thinking about?
Come on, man. Everyone talks like that.
Man, only young boys talk like that. Be on a more mature level. Lead, don't follow.
safeandrespectful.org.
Now, the purity of that video is bar none. Nobody can question the intent, and the execution was done meaningfully for some high schoolers. But at the end of the day, that scene could have been so much better simply by showing rather than telling. Show, don't tell, simply put, is when you put directions in a movie that lead a viewer to understand something rather than them just hearing it. For example, Jurassic Park. We know that danger is coming, a really big dinosaur, because the kids are looking at the ripple of water in the car. If we take a look at the face of the lawyer, we know that fear is so present in this scene without a word of dialogue being said. Show, don't tell. Great screenwriters use subtlety to show, not tell, and get their audience to read between the lines. Something that you always want to remember when screenwriting is that a viewer who is forced to think about an action and come to a conclusion is more likely to retain what that character went through. In the 1942 movie Casablanca, the goodbye at the airport between Rick and Lisa is a great example of this. Instead of saying "I love you," the filmmakers focus on duty and the greater good, while the emotions bubble underneath the surface. The dialogue is loaded with unspoken emotions. The audience understands their love without it needing to be said outright. In the greatest movie ever made, 1994's Speed, when Harry enters the home of the bad guy and sees that he is tripped and alarmed, we see on his face that he knows he has met his end. There is no dialogue in the entire scene, but it's the most emotional scene in this amazing action blockbuster. Let's go back to our example that we saw earlier with the two young men having a dialogue where obviously one character was upset at another character for that character's opinion on how to feel about women. How could we make this scene better? Let's go ahead and jump into our screenwriting software and let's reformat this scene so it is a little bit better and we can understand it a little more. That's not a word. All right, so we're gonna rework an on-the-nose scene. As always, we're going to need a scene heading. So we're outside, EXT, and we're outside of a school building. And we're gonna give ourselves a dash, and then the time of day is gonna be day. This video is in no way whatsoever sponsored, but I am using arcstudio, which does have a free tier to write this scene. Okay, we're gonna then hit enter. Now we're gonna give ourselves some exposition. We have 4 high school students are talking outside on campus. Nice. Now let's describe who these characters are. 2 women and 2 young men. But let's emphasize that it's young women. 2 young women and 2 young men. As the women leave the scene, the 2 young men engage in a heated conversation. All right. So, as always, we need to name our characters. Because this is such a simple scene, we won't worry about breaking down names for the women. We'll just give our guys names. Let's call them Sean and Henry. Now, because this is the first time we see these characters, we're going to emphasize their names but put them in all caps. Sean and Henry. Sean and Henry seem to be close friends, but Henry is pretty upset. We're going to go ahead and hit tab. Let's remind ourselves who is talking. First character to talk will be Sean. Man, oh man, would you look at that? Now who's talking? That's right, Henry. Look at what? All right, look at what? Sean. The ladies, Henry. Henry. What about them? Sean. They're fine and pretty. Henry. Relax, Sean. Sean. What do you mean, relax? A man has needs, you know. Now, we are stating an obvious. Young men are interested in young women. But we're not being vulgar. We're not being crass. We're not being on the nose. Pretty much anyone can walk into this scene, understand what's going on, and from there, make an assessment as who these characters are. Obviously, Henry seems to be somebody who is practicing a little more self-control. Sean seems to be a little more rambunctious. So it's obvious that these 2 characters are having a disagreement. So instead of even going into that argument, we can just allow Henry to stay the composed person he is, but leave Sean with a couple of jewels. Let's see what we can do. What do you mean, relax? Let's update that. A man has needs, you know. Henry. So do dogs. Are you more than an animal? Now, because Sean's character seems to be a little more vivacious, we can have a little bit of fun with him, such as making him funny. So let's see if we can come up with a witty line that a character like Sean might say. I'm a different animal and the same beast. Like Kobe said. Now that is a really cool reference to my favorite basketball player of all time, Kobe Bryant. All right, now what we can do, because we have established who these characters are and their thought patterns as it pertains to this particular subject, we can wrap it up. No need to make it linger. So let's rely on Henry to give us a really nice line of dialogue to close this out. If you want to be like a beast in the field, fine by me. But I thought my brother would be more like me. Okay, so we have just ended this scene as it pertains to dialogue. Henry told us his truth. Now let's have Henry exit the scene and leave the camera on Sean as he pontificates, wonders, thinks about what his friend just told him. That way the audience can draw their own conclusion as to whether or not they agree with Henry and whether or not they think Sean is going to change or remain the same. So now, let's go ahead and hit tab, and we're going to write some exposition, also known as action. Here we go. Henry looks at Sean, disappointed. He walks off screen. We stay on Sean as he thinks about his friend and how he is now viewed. Sean sighs, then says, "Ain't nobody trying to hear that." All right, so we ended the scene on a comedic note. We were able to give our characters a beat. We were able to give them an emotional scenario, and we were able to also find out whether or not Sean was going to take the advice that he got from his friend Henry. So now the characters can go on a journey and become more of who they already are, or they can change. Make sure you stay to the end to get the most important point of all of this that I guarantee will instantly make you a better filmmaker. This scene is so much stronger than the first scene that we saw because the audience is still able to decide whether or not they agree with one character or the other. I'm pretty sure the filmmakers were trying to push the idea that Henry's character is right. However, the best thing to do to get your point across is to still give your audience a choice. I really hope you enjoyed this screenwriting exercise. If you like this video and if you want to get more videos like this, feel free to just drop a comment, hit that thumbs up, and come on back. I'll do my best to give you more screenwriting tips based on your needs and what you want to learn. Thanks for rocking out with me. My name is Kevin Parkinson. God bless. I'll see you guys next time.